All right, so you can go ahead and write your input. Now, when we talk about mixture problems, we're talking about when you're at Sprouts. How many of you guys have gone to Sprouts before? Or like a farmer's market type of store, right? And you want to make a trail mix. Have any of you guys ever done that? You go and you know how you can like pull down the different handles and you'll get like, maybe you want cashews, maybe you want M&Ms, maybe you want chocolate covered pretzels in your mixture, things like that. So we're talking about mixture, so mixing things together, right? Our mixture problems. Yes?
Don't you have to press start?
No, it's recording. It's going. Thank you for checking that. So our input today, we're going to write down the steps that we need to solve our mixture problems, okay? There are 6 steps. So step number 1. Is to highlight important information in the problem. Okay, so highlight that important information. You should be reading the word problems and highlighting what we need to know, what's important. Okay. Step 2 is to make a chart. And I'll show you those charts when we get to our modeling part. So you want to make a chart. Step 3. We're going to define a variable. You should have heard that before, right? We're going to define a variable. We're going to pick what our variable is going to be in the problem. What variable are we going to choose for our unknown? What letter is it going to be? Step 4 is to write an equation. Over by my desk, my charger's plugged in, but it's plugged in behind my coffee thing, so you're going to have to pull that out and unplug the charger. Okay, thank you. All right, step 5 is to solve the equation. Normally when you solve the equation, you're like, oh, I'm done. Next step's going to be to box the answer, right? But not with these types of word problems, okay? So step 6 is to answer the question being asked. I noticed last week on some of your quizzes that I was grading, for the one that asked you the sum of 3 consecutive integers is 48, find the integers, right? The question being asked is to find the 3 integers. Some of you just gave me 1 integer. Is that answering the question? No. So you solved the equation, which was great because you found that 1 integer, but you didn't answer the question that said find the integers, right? So find all 3 integers. So you just gave me 1 answer and you got it wrong, unfortunately. Okay, so you have to always make sure you go back and solve and answer the question that is being asked, okay? All right, so we're going to move into our modeling, and I'm actually going to turn the page on mine because this is not going to be enough room to answer to these problems, okay? All right. Thank you so much. 30-second break here to plug my computer in. Before it dies. Brandon, can you grab that for me? Thank you so much. Okay. All right, modeling. So here's our number 1. This is going to be a word problem, so you're going to have to write it down. Raisins cost $2 per pound. Comma, and almonds cost $5 per pound. How many pounds of each should you use to make a 30-pound mixture remember LB stands for pound that costs $4 per pound? Okay, I know it's a word problem. I know it's a lot of words. Don't stress out, right? I'm going to show you the easiest way to do this, okay? So raisins cost $2 per pound and almonds cost $5 per pound. So you're at Sprouts and you really want to make a mixture of this trail mix. It looks so good. You want raisins and almonds, my favorite, okay? How many pounds of each should you use to make a 30-pound mixture? You want 30 pounds of this amazing mixture because you know you're going camping this weekend and you need some sustenance. You need some good snack food while you're camping, okay? So you need a 30-pound mixture. But you don't want it to cost more than $4 per pound because that's your budget. You can't have it cost any more than $4 per pound. Okay, so we need to figure out how much of each we should use. So our first step, right? Look back. It says highlight important information. So what do we know? We know that raisins cost $2 per pound. You can highlight or underline. You can circle. Any of that is fine. If you want to underline the important information, that's fine. If you want to circle the important information, that's fine too, okay? So raisins cost $2 per pound. That's important. Almonds cost $5 per pound. It's pretty important. We should know how much they cost. Now, how many pounds of each? Ooh, that's our question. That's really important. We really need to know how many pounds of each. Right? That's what we want to know. How many pounds of each should you use to make a, oh, here's another important information, 30-pound mixture. That's what we're looking for, 30-pound mixture. We want to make sure that it doesn't cost more than $4 per pound. So step one, check. Put a check mark next to it. You did it. Okay. Now, step two tells you to make a chart. This is what your chart is going to look like. Okay. We're going to list our items. What items do we have? So go ahead and write items. Okay. Draw a line. Okay, we're going to be making a big chart. Don't cram it into little spaces, right? Math is going to use lots of pages. Don't be afraid to use a lot of paper in math, okay? Write big so you can see what you're doing. All right, the next thing that we want to write down is the amount, right? How much do we have? The amount in pounds. Okay, the amount in pounds. We also want to write down the cost per pound, right? Because that's what else we see. We highlighted that. Cost per pound. And then we also want to know the cost with like money, right? Or monetary cost. Okay. All right, so looking into this question, I'm going to say, all right, well, what items do I have? What am I talking about here? The first thing I'm talking about, raisins, okay? So that's going to be our first item. Okay. Draw my line. Okay. All right, what's the next item I'm talking about in this problem? I'm going to keep reading. Raisins cost $2 per pound, and almonds. Oh, that's the next thing I'm talking about, almonds. Let's write that down. and draw our line. Okay. Now let's see if we're talking about anything else. Almonds cost $5 a pound. How many pounds should you use to make a 30-pound mixture? Oh, we want to know information about the mixture. So let's write down the mixture of both of these. Okay. Now, I'm going to look at this chart. This is how we're going to fill it out. Jude, I suggest you really pay attention. Okay. The amount in pounds. Do we know that? Do we know that information? Let's see. My question is, how many pounds of each should I use? So we don't know how many pounds of each, right? Are we going to use in our mixture? We don't know because we're trying to find that out. So that is our unknown. Okay, so our third step says to define a variable, right? So define a variable for our unknown. We don't know how many pounds of raisins we have, right? That's the question. How many pounds of each? We don't know. So we're going to define a variable. Let's call raisins R. Okay, just because they're raisins. Okay, so R. That's our variable. We're defining it. Now we want to figure out the amount for almonds. Now think about it this way. If I want a 30-pound mixture, okay, 30 pounds of something, and R pounds is going to be raisins, right? How do I figure out what almonds are going to be? If I have 30 pounds of something, okay, and R pounds of those are raisins, what problem do I write to figure out how much is almonds? Yeah.
R plus A equals M.
Close, okay? So if I have, let me get some pens here. Because you totally know how to do this, but you're just getting confused. Okay, so if I have all these pens, okay? I have some pink pens and some green pens, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 pens total, okay? I have 8 pens total. And if R of them are green, how do I find out how many are pink? Pretend R equals 3, okay? So if 3 of them are green, how do I find out how many are pink? I'm going to take the total amount and do what? Harry? Good, I'm going to subtract R, right? I'm going to subtract my green to figure out how much I have left that makes up this whole mixture of pens, okay? So if I have 30-pound mixture and R pounds, we don't know how many pounds they are, but some amount of pounds is raisins. How am I going to find out how many are almonds? I'm going to do the total minus what we know to give us what's left, right? So our amount here is going to be, for almonds, is going to be 30 minus R. Okay, 30 minus R. Right? We took the total amount of pounds. We subtracted what we know, right? We know that raisins are going to be R to find almonds, right? Because you always want your variables to be the same. Okay? Now, for our mixture, we know how many pounds our mixture is going to be, correct? Because we highlighted. That's part of our important information. Our mixture is going to be 30 pounds. Okay? Now, our cost per pound. We're going to go to our next column here. Raisins. What is the cost per pound of raisins? Well, let's go back and read. Raisins cost $2 per pound. So our cost per pound is 2. Okay, now what about almonds? Almonds cost $5 per pound. And what about our mixture? We want to make a 30-pound mixture that costs $4 per pound. Okay, now to figure out the cost in dollars, this part here, we need to multiply these two things together. Okay, so R times 2, the cost in dollars is going to give us 2R. 30 minus R times 5 is going to give us 5 in parentheses times 30 minus R. And our mixture cost is going to be 30 times 4 equals 120. Okay, now, so that was, we did step 2, we defined our variable. Step 3, we have to write an equation. Now, to write your equation, do you see how I put a box around this last column? Go ahead and put a box around this last column right now. Put a box around it. And then over next to that box, I want you to put a little star. And I want you to say, use this column for the equation. Okay? Use this column for the equation. All right, so we know that raisins, if we look at our problem here, raisins plus almonds is going to give us the mixture, right? So how much raisins, how many almonds is going to give us our mixture? So we're going to write our expression, our equation. So 2R raisins plus our almonds, so plus 5 times 30 minus R is going to give us our mixture. So equals 120. Okay, so plus here equals here, right? 2R plus 5 times 30t equals 120. Now, we've seen problems like this before, right? That should not look new to you. Now we just have to solve. We have to figure out what R is. We need to figure out what R stands for. So the first thing I want to do when I'm solving an equation is I see parentheses. I need to get rid of those parentheses, so I need to simplify. Okay? So I'm going to distribute to get rid of my parentheses. Okay? Bring down what I have. So I know 2R plus 5 times 30 is 150. 5 times negative R is going to give me a negative 5R, so minus 5R. Bring down what else I have over here. Mine equals 120. Okay. Now I see some like terms, don't you? I hope so. I see 2R here, and I see a negative 5R here. So I have to combine those like terms. So a 2R plus negative 5R is going to give us negative 3R. And I still have my 150, so I'm going to bring down that 150. And I still have my equals 120, so bring down equals 120. I have to solve for R. Okay, so to isolate the variable to get R by itself, I'm going to get rid of this 150. So minus 150. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other, right? Minus 150. Those cancel out. So what do I have left here? Negative 3R equals 120 minus 150 gives us negative 30. Remember your song if you get confused with your positives and negatives. Same sign, add and keep, different sign, subtract. Keep the sign of the higher number, then you'll be exact. Okay? Now we have to get R by itself. So I'm going to divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. R equals 10, right? Two negatives divided by each other gives you a positive. Now, is that my answer? It tells us we solved the equation, right? But remember, step 5 says, so we did step 4, we solved the equation. Step 5 says to answer the question being asked. Our question being asked is how many pounds of each should you use to make a 30-pound mixture? So we know R, okay, equals 10. So raisins, we need to use 10 pounds of raisins. Okay. Now to find out how many almonds we have to use, how many pounds of almonds, we're going to plug our 10 back up into this equation here. Okay, so 30 minus 10 equals 20. So almonds equals 20 pounds. And that would be your answer, not R equals 10. Okay. All right, we're going to do one more so you guys can practice it again. I'm going to follow the same steps. Yes?
For the 150 150. Can you also do 120 minus 150 to get the same answer?
That's what I did. 120 minus 150. You get negative 30.
Oh, no, the other way around.
150 minus 100. No, because then you would get
Oh, that's right.
positive, right? Okay. All right, number 2. Again, I'm going to go to my next page. Look at this one problem took up the whole page, and that is fine. Okay? Space out your problems. Don't try to squeeze them in real small. All right, number 2. We're going to use the same information, okay? So, raisins cost $2 per pound. Almonds cost $5 per pound. Okay. But now we want to know how much of each do you need to make a 50-pound mixture that costs $3.50 per pound? Okay, step 1 tells us to highlight or underline the important information. So what do we know? Go ahead and do it. Highlight and underline that important information. $2 per pound. Okay, almonds cost $5 per pound. I always like to circle what's being asked. So how much of each do you need to make a 50-pound mixture that costs $3 per pound? Step 1, we did it, okay? We highlighted the important information. Step 2, we're going to make a chart. Our chart's going to look exactly like the chart I just made, okay? So go ahead and draw your chart. We have item, we have amount per pound, or amount in pounds. We have the cost per pound. And we have the cost, the total cost, okay? Now remember, Ms. Gopreck likes to kind of box this last column, so I remember that's what I'm using in my equation. You can always put a box around that last column, so you remember, okay? Now my items, I have the same items. Kind of lucked out on this one, so I have raisins. I have almonds. And I have my mixture. Okay, raisins, almonds, and my mixture. All right, so we made our chart. That was step 2. Step 3, define a variable. What don't we know? How much of each do you need? So we don't know the amount, right? So our variable, we don't know the amount of raisins. So our variable is going to be R for raisins. For almonds, this time we want to take the total amount minus what we know. So we know raisins is R, and our total amount is 50, correct? So that's what we want in the end. We want a 50-pound mixture. So we have our 50 pounds. We want to take away the raisins, and what's left is going to be almonds. So it's going to be 50 minus R. And our mixture, we know the total for our mixture is 50. Okay. Cost per pound, go ahead and fill that out. For raisins, we know it's $2 per pound. For almonds, we know it's $5 per pound. Almonds cost $5 per pound. And we want our mixture to be $3.50, so 3.50 per pound. Okay. Now for our cost, remember we multiply, equals. R times 2 is 2R. 5, the cost times the amount, so it would be 5 times 50 minus R. And then $3.50 times 50 is going to give us 175. I'll do the math for you. All right, tell the person sitting next to you right now, what is our equation going to be? Step number 4. What's our equation going to be? Tell the person sitting next to you. Go. Good. Write it down now. Write it down. So our equation should be 2R plus 5 times 50 minus R equals 175. Right now with the person sitting next to you or in your area, I want you to do the very first step. What's the very first step? Then stop. Very first step. Ready, go. Talk about it. Very first step, what do you do? Drew, talk to Kennedy. What do you do? Our very first step. Talk to Drew. It's the very first step. Show him. Show what do you do? Do it on your paper. What do you do? Make sure you both get to the same very first step. Get to the same step. Should have distributed. Good. You should get 2R plus 250 minus 5R equals 175. Okay, ready with your partner? Do the next step. Go. What do I do next? What do you do? Next step. What do you look for? You should have gotten 250 minus 3R equals 175. If you got that, go yes! Yes! Awesome. Now I have to tell you why it's so important to check your work. Last night I was doing this. Look, I did it right here. Last night I was doing what I was going to teach you guys today, and I had written 175 up here. And then when I went back to do this, I wrote 170 right here. And I did the whole problem. I erased it now, but I did the whole problem with this being 170. You can kind of see here I was trying to do all the math. And I was like, gosh, why is this not working out how I wanted it to work out? This is totally not working. This is not, that should not be the answer. And I looked back and I wrote the number wrong. Okay, so you have to make sure that, I see a lot of you guys doing that. You have to take your time with these steps, okay? And make sure you're writing it down correctly. All right, with your partner, ready, go, do the next part. Go. Get 3R by itself. How do you do that? Talk. How do you do it, Charles? Tell Brandon, how do you get 3R by itself? You should have gotten negative 3R equals negative 75. Okay? 175 plus a negative 250. Okay? Now to get R by itself, we want to divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. Those cancel. R equals negative 75 divided by negative 3 is going to give me a positive 25. Am I done there? No, I have to do step 5, right? I have to go and make sure I answer the question. The question says, how much of each do you need? So raisins, we know for raisins, we need 25 pounds. Okay? Now we have to plug our raisins back up into our amount here for almonds. So 50 minus 25 equals 25, right? So almonds equals 25 pounds. And that is your answer. Okay? Homework tonight, you're going to be doing the exact same thing. Follow these steps. Use your notes. Don't be afraid. I talked to some of your parents at conferences. I know Mr. Stripes did as well. Don't be afraid to use your notes on your homework. That's what they're there for, okay? Don't feel like you're a loser or you are dumb if you have to use your notes. You're not. You're a loser and dumb if you don't use your notes, okay? Use your notes, okay? Use your notes to help you. Okay, so homework tonight. We're going to correct it tomorrow, so don't worry. We'll go and correct them tomorrow.